Hey guys, and welcome back to another interview. I am joined, as you can see, by Juv3nile. And you know what? You're the new coach of GE. It's late at night because you're currently in Korea. How have things been going for you?
Man, it's been amazing. GE's been amazing. Everything we've been doing is amazing. I'm really happy with the team we got. Really happy with the players. Even practice has been going really well. And Seoul, I'm already falling in love with the city, man. The city is it's really cool. It's really, really
Yeah,
cool.
I was lucky enough to go there for champs. I think obviously you were as well, and the food is insane. Like I think being someone from England who's currently living in Germany, I'm jealous of you in Korea.
Yeah. Like at first, I was a little worried about it because it's just a big move. But like now that I'm here, it's like it's good. Like I said, I definitely love everything about it. Besides, it's August was way too hot, and it's already
Mm.
getting cold, bro. I'm from Texas. I don't like snow, but I can layer up, I guess.
I'm used to rain and cold. That is part of my
Yeah.
my DNA. But I kind of obviously I know there's gonna be a lot of people ready for a lot of questions about the future of this roster. But I want to give people a little bit of background about you, about how you got into professional gaming, coaching, etc. So first question I always ask everybody: how did you start gaming? Was it a family member? Was there a specific game that sort of got you into, well, not professional gaming, just casual gaming?
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing consoles, man, since like almost as when they came out. I had one of the gonna date me so hard, but when I was really, really young, like 4 years old, I had like the original Nintendo. And
Okay.
then after that, switching to more and more. The biggest one, the first one I really got into was like N64, GoldenEye, stuff like that was always really fun. That was probably like the first person shooter I played. But really getting into gaming, getting it like somewhat serious, was when I would visit my dad. He gamed a lot. A game called Medal of Honor. You
Okay,
might have
yeah,
heard of it.
I
So
know
he
it.
used to game Medal of Honor a lot, and so I just started every weekend I would go over to his house, and that's what he did. So I would just sit behind him, watch him play, and then get my chance to play, get my little hour to play when he was basically done. So that's basically how I got started, and just it worked out from there, man.
See, I was a Game Boy Color kid, so I was the old school Pokemon Silvers. So
Yeah, Pokemon
for the
too.
Zoomers, that's like the game before 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 the ones that you know.
I mean,
Probably
bro,
need a few add a
I
few more.
played Red and Blue, bro. I played Red and
Yeah,
Blue, the OG
yeah.
OGs.
But I was looking back because obviously I'm a CS fan. That's where I sort of started my career. Now, I was looking back and you played in Lunatic and Denial with some people know Shazam. That guy's quite well known. Naf, Daps, Fugly. Like, these are very well known Counter Strike players. So, how did you get there in the pro scene? Because obviously, I feel like that was before like Counter Strike is what it is now. Like, those were still well known players, but not to the state that they are in now.
Yeah, so realistically, the honest truth is, I was on the best team in Call of Duty 4 in North America. Got to
Okay.
travel to a decent amount of European tournaments, stuff like that, and then obviously COD 4 died. And we ended up going our separate ways or something like that. But when CS:GO beta came out, Michael 3D, which some people might know, he messaged me to come back, and so season one, we were just scrimming. Like we played so much, bro. That was what we were good at,
Mm.
was just playing a ton. So the very first season, we got an invite straight to invite as a Call of Duty team. We were literally me, Emong, Skadoodle, which you guys will know.
Yeah.
Me, Emong, Skadoodle, this guy named TM, and me was the five. So that was the five we ended up playing with, and we went 13-1, 14-1, 15-1. We
Not
only
bad.
lost one match in the entire season, which, funny enough, we lost to Shazam, which we
Ah.
should never have lost that match in a million years. But we ended up losing one match and went 15-1 throughout the season, and at that point, pretty much the rest is history throughout CS, and yeah, like I definitely loved my time in CS for sure.
Well, that was the thing I was then going to ask. Is from then you went to Overwatch, which I would like to apologize already that you had to suffer through that game. But what? Why was the decision made to go from CS to Overwatch? Was it because it was a rising game with opportunities, or just you enjoyed playing it?
Yeah, like I had gotten cut from my most recent team, which would have been the Denial team with
Mm.
Naf, Fugly, Daps, me, and Shazam. I got cut from that team. They ended up picking up Anger for like the ESA playoffs, invite playoffs when we made playoffs. Like I made ESA and CVO playoffs every single season in NA. And so like when that happened, Michael 3D and Emong, funny enough, we just keep coming back to each other. They messaged me and said like, "Hey, we're playing Overwatch for Selfless. We'll give you $1,000. Just come play Overwatch." And so I just picked up the game randomly. They're like, we need a main tank. And so I just started playing main tank Reinhardt for them. And pretty much worked my way up and ended up playing with like Renegade stuff like that. So we played at the top 4 level throughout Overwatch 2, and I think that's definitely been a huge help to my how good I am at coaching in Valorant, to be honest.
Okay, so from what I looked at, you again, I know nothing about Overwatch. So you can correct me if I'm wrong. What was between like 2017 and 2021? Because obviously you came into OTW in 2021. 2017 was when it looked like on Liquipedia you stopped playing Overwatch. So what was the 4 year gap?
Yeah, it was about 2018 actually is when I stopped playing
Okay.
Overwatch. And about 2018 is when Overwatch League came out. And I
Hmm.
knew I wasn't going to make Overwatch League. And so what I did was get myself a job in the Overwatch League behind the scenes. At
Okay.
that point, they had a show called Watchpoint. So Watchpoint was like an ESPN style TV show, but what Overwatch did is they hired a bunch of like ESPN and NFL Network people. These guys had no clue about video games. They had no idea
Yeah.
what any of this was. So essentially, I was just came in to teach them like what are they looking at? What are the things that matter? What are help them with the storylines, help them with the stats. Really, I came in as like a stats person, and so I was
Hmm.
working for Overwatch League just behind the scenes for about a year, and then after that, real life. Just took a break from video games at that point. Took a step back. There was no game really at that point. Overwatch was sort of dying down, or Overwatch League. I was never going to get back into the Overwatch League as a player or anything like that. So I took a break, had some real life moments, lived some life, and then 2020 came out. Valorant came out, and I knew I was made for Valorant, honestly.
Okay. So was there anything that brought you in? Because again, like I obviously you were playing professionally in Overwatch in CS. You took that break. You come back. You're then coaching players that again. I talk about people knowing them. Your names like Bang, Derek, Com, Brock, Boostio. Like how do you get seemingly fairly quickly into a coaching position with those players?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I have a lot of experience from CS, and at that point, there was the only people coming over as far as that were experienced CS players. I mean, there might have been a
Yeah.
couple Overwatch players coming off, but most of them were CS players switching over, and at least that was the cream of the crop at the top. And so, actually, it's funny enough. One of the players that I played with in Invite, CS Glorens, he owned the team that all those players were playing for at that point.
Okay.
Which was not OTW. It was actually someone else before them, but I don't remember what our team name was. But it was me, Bang, Brock, Derek, and Sim was actually on that team. Sim was on that team, and bro, that team could have been so different. We lost the Sentinels in the qualifier for VCT or whatever it was at that time, whatever the VCT qualifier was really called. We lost to them on. We beat them on the first map. We lost on the second map, and we were up like 11-7 or something, and we ended up losing 13-11 on Haven. Like we never should have lost that match, and like who knows what would have
Yeah.
happened if we would have ended up being Sentinels at that time because they were the best team in the world, obviously at that point.
Yeah, well, it was. I feel like it was always the battle between like them and TSM, and then in Europe we had our like FPX versus G2, which went on till the end of time with G2 always seemingly winning. But yeah, that was another thing I was going to mention is like in America's scene, you have coached, I would say, a fair few very good teams. Are you looking at a Crew, which I think if you're like a cult America's fan, that's a team that
Yeah,
everybody loves. It's like you remember a
yeah.
Crew, like people love that squad. TSM. Oxygen. I wanted to say though, it felt like with a lot of those rosters, you weren't necessarily given a massive amount of time. Do you think is there a team in particular where you go, if you gave me 3 more months with that team, I would have been coach of anyone, or we would have done X?
See, I mean, maybe so. Like, so the thing is with the Crew, obviously, we had our insane run. We went like 34 matches in a row, and like the reason that ended is because I had the TSM offer.
Yeah.
And just can't pass up that kind of offer. When it comes to esports, TSM, especially at that point, was a premier org in the entire world. But no jokes, honestly, probably Oxygen.
Mm.
Because Oxygen, I think we were just getting started. We were just improving. Obviously, you saw how much better they got with Bonker. And Bonker's obviously a great coach. But I don't think he's necessarily considerably better to me where they just magically got good because, they had Bonker instead of me. So I think that would have been a team, but I had to take a step back personally because I just had a lot going on in my life at that point, a lot of changes
Okay.
happening in my life, and I didn't have the ability to really put in my best foot forward into Valorant.
Okay. So obviously, then you have that move into the assistant coach role of Leviathan, a huge team in franchising. Was that the sort of reason you felt more comfortable taking almost a step back into that assistant coach role? Because I think every other team you've had, for the most part, you were head coach.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a head coach through and through, man. I've been a team leader like I said, since COD 4. I've been pretty much a team leader of every single one of my teams, IGL. So definitely taking a step back was tough. But the reason why I did it is because the head coach, Idapata, was actually my
Yeah.
assistant coach at TSM. And we had a
Oh,
really good
okay.
relationship, really good working relationship. And like even to this day, we're friends. Like I talk to him not every day, but every few days we end up messaging each other and just catching up. So yeah, that was the real reason I had full fine taking the assistant coach role there. And in general, especially when I was first coming back, because I said I had a little bit of a break from coaching,
Mm.
it's hard as a coach to learn what other coaches do and how you can learn from them. And so for me, I took that opportunity as like, let me come in, let me see what he's good at, let me see his strengths, and let me try to learn from him because he's obviously a good coach. Like I knew
Yeah.
from him, he's my assistant coach. He was a good coach, and then he obviously had success at Apex after that. So I already knew he was a good coach, and I was really interested just to see what I could learn from him and what I could bring to myself in this new job next season because I already knew when we agreed to take that assistant coach job, we both pretty much already knew it was just a short term thing because it's the easiest option. He knows me, he trusts me in that moment versus, uh, anything else later.
Okay, because that was going to be my next question is when you sort of took that assistant coach role, did you always knew that, okay, this is something that I'll do for now until I have a head coach offer that I want?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I'm a head coach through and through. I took the assistant coach job purely because it was Ida Pada. I would probably not have taken that for anyone else besides a few
Okay.
coaches in the entire world. Like Sliggy's someone I really respect. He's someone I would definitely assist coach for. He has been a coach in so long. I don't know why. I don't know if that's his choice or teams aren't giving him offers, but hey, that guy should definitely be a head coach
He doesn't
somewhere.
have time with all the streaming.
Yeah, yeah, his streams are huge now. I watch so that's funny is because I watch his streams when I watch VODs, I watch his stream because he goes like he's so knowledgeable at the game for real,
Mm.
and like he's I try to learn from other people as much as I feel like I'm very good at this. Like it's not like I can't keep learning.
With him, I always just find like I don't know how he's live that many hours in a day. Like the man
Yeah,
is a
he's
machine,
dedicated.
but
It's funny because I actually had a similar schedule to that when I was working overnight. So that's how I first got back into Valorant and learned as much as I did. I worked a full-time job Facebook moderator when I first got back into Valorant. And so I would work overnight and I would watch all of APAC overnight, all of EMEA in the morning, and NA during the day. I literally watched all
Jesus
three
Christ.
regions for like an entire year. And I seriously like that made me I feel like I learned everything at that time.
Well, there you go. If that's all you need. All you need is a professional CounterStrike career, move to professional Overwatch, and then stay up all night while working another job. And then you can also be a professional coach. It's just that
It's
easy, you
easy,
know?
guys. It's easy.
Anyone could do it. Remember that say you go to criticize a coach in a few months' time. Just remember that sentence and have a think about it. So I kind of wanted to just before because I think a lot of the story around Leviathan like it was successful. I think things went well. I wanted to sort of ask what was the most sort of challenging thing with a team of that stature because I feel like a lot of people won't know like when a team is you're coming into it they are expected to win. I think with Lev everybody knew that with the roster that was built with the players that they had. So what would you say was the most difficult thing working there because it went well.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely difficult moments. I would say, but like as a whole, I don't think it would like I came in and literally week 2 of practice, I think. I told Adipata, we're about to go undefeated and win entire Americas. I told him verbatim, we are gonna go undefeated and win Americas like after the second week of practice. Just because like bro, I have never been a part of a team that had that much aim. Every like
Mm.
the worst quote unquote aimer is calm, and bro, he has sick aim when he's actually trying to aim. The biggest thing that we try to work with him is just like, just shoot them. You're so good at shooting, just shoot them. Stop using your shock dart. Stop worrying about util. Just shoot them in the face. And I feel like that's something that we improved a lot. Like you can see his performance towards the end of the season, towards champs. Like he was on fire through champs. Like he played insane throughout champs.
Mm.
And so like the biggest thing was just getting them all to believe again. After Shanghai, I think there was definitely a confidence hit in general. And just getting them to believe again, and then just building the entire strat book and playbook back up from ground zero because we scrapped pretty much everything they had from before.
Okay. Well, I think my next question, I think a lot of people will see it coming. You finished top 3 at Champs, very successful year with that team. You have some of the best players in the world. And now your move is to go to GE, which obviously there's a lot of work to be done. Are you seeing this as a gamble or are you looking at this as like a more of an opportunity?
No, because I'm so confident in my ability to create a good team, especially in APAC. Like I feel like APAC is weak at the bottom. Like it's just the reality. I think the top 4, 5, 6 teams are pretty good, and then after
Mhm.
that, there's a considerable drop off in talent. And then who knows? Maybe this season's going to be different. There's another season, another layer of players coming in, all that kind of stuff. But I thought there was a real window of opportunity here to like build a team of talented, even just tier two. Like I coached in tier two APAC. This is something that we haven't even talked about. But I coached at tier two APAC before Leviathan. That's what I was doing, was coaching a team in tier
Mm.
two APAC. And so I saw the talent is there. I just feel like the coaching isn't there really, especially in tier two APAC. The coaching isn't quite there. And so I felt like, if these players were given a chance at this level and, we could coach them up and teach them the right way, I feel like we had a real chance to win in APAC. And that's one of the reasons why I took it. And I love the fans at Leviathan so much. And I feel like the fans at GE are very similar as far as their passion and their love. Like, yeah, you might get some hate if you lose, but if you win, you're going to be a god amongst men. You know what I mean? They're going to love the heck out of you. And so far, I've had nothing but great moments.
Yeah, no, like I guess they got diehard fans, which I think like I'm a
Which I
football
love.
or soccer fan, I guess as the
Yeah.
Americans will call it, and that's exactly how we are. If you're doing
Yeah.
well, we'll love you. If you do, we'll
And
be
the thing is,
watching. We'll be watching.
I have thick skin, man. Like you said, CS. I grew up in the days of CS:GO Lounge when I would get death threats because we lost a match. Like that was a common
Yeah.
everyday
Oh
occurrence.
God.
Like if we lose a match and a guy lost a P250 sand dune, and I get a death threat because he lost 5 cent. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like that was
I
a
bet
everyday thing.
my 9p skin, and I expected 15.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like what?
literally. It's not a joke. That would happen every single match I played on CS:GO Lounge. Every
What?
single match, and
You
and I
also
sucked
said you were
individually,
COD
so they
4
definitely
as well,
played me.
right? COD
Yeah, COD
lobbies are
4.
where your thick skin
Yeah,
is born.
but yeah, there was definitely back then. There's definitely the trash talk is a little different nowadays than it used to
Yeah.
be back then, for sure. It was a lot more toxic back then.
So I wanted to ask as well, like obviously the vast of your career was over in Americas. Like what was it specifically about this offer that tempted you over to Korea? Because it is a pretty hefty move, even if I think Korea is a fantastic place to live. It definitely is a culture change. So yeah, what specifically was it that you went, okay, that is worth moving across the world for?
So I've traveled a lot in my life just through esports and stuff like that for the most part. I've been to like 10, 12 different countries.
Mm,
I haven't lived in my home state for the last 10 years. So I haven't been around, and all my family lives in my home state, which is Texas. All my family lives in Texas. So I ain't really been around family for like the last 10 years. And so like and for the longest time, I remember when I was in, 18, and this is back before esports was an option, right? Like I just did it because that's what I enjoyed doing, not because it was a career opportunity. And so I used to always think about what I wanted to do with life. For the longest time, I thought about teaching English overseas,
mm.
specifically in Asian countries, because I've always wanted to live in another country, man. So for me, there's no fear or worry about moving here. It was just excitement about the possibility of achieving a dream, bro, living in another country and doing what I love, man.
Yeah. My next question is sort of just before we get into the nitty gritty of the team. Uh, what was it like for you in terms of building the team? Was it like, because obviously the GE owners, we know they're very hands on, they like to get involved. Were you given the keys to the castle? Were you making every individual decision, or did you have like a collective, or were there some players that you were like, we got to get this guy?
Yeah, so I'd say 99% I had the control of pretty much everything, but I'm not a dictator, man. I like having other people's opinion. I'll listen. It doesn't mean I'm gonna agree with you. It doesn't mean I'm gonna take your
Yeah.
advice, but I will let you speak your mind. I will listen to your advice, and I will explain to you why I feel the way I do, so that you can sort of see my point of view and stuff like that. And so they had some input, and there was one of the managers actually at GE. He used to be a player, and so he had a good view, a good eye, and I would actually come to him a lot and ask him like, what do you think about this? Because I thought that I respected his view on the game and the way he saw the players because he saw them similarly to me. So like when I would make a comment, he would be like, yeah, I actually have the same thing. I'm thinking the same thing. And so I had pretty much control to build the roster that I wanted. And we got, like I said, almost everybody that we wanted at first. We didn't have to go dig too deep to put together this roster.
Okay. So another thing as well is you picked up the ex-Ascend assistant coach, Elevated. So I wanted to ask, firstly, what it was about him, because obviously he's been, I believe, with them for a little while, but also, was he involved from the very beginning? Like, was he the first pickup, or has he come in once the team was built?
He came in not once the team was built, but towards the end of trials. So actually, what GE did, and actually at first I was so worried about this because I've never trialed 90 plus players, but like they had a legit list of 90 plus players. But luckily, like all I had to do was come in and watch the YouTube video. Like all I had to do is come watch a stream, and they did everything. They're the one that
Okay.
handled it. They're the one that organized it. They're the one that did all the messaging to players. All I had to do was just come watch the matches, which made it so simple and so easy for me. It's like I wasn't worried
Mm.
anymore because like my job's easy. I just sit and watch some video games. Can't complain about watching video games, bro. And so yeah, like the elevated came in towards the end of that, and he gave a decent amount of input towards the roster and how he felt and who he thought was the good choices and stuff like that. So he definitely had some input for sure.
Okay. And what do you believe? Like, I imagine, I don't know if you trialed other assistant coaches, but what was it specifically with him that you went, okay, I need this guy on my team?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is one of the things I learned from last season coaching with Pada is that I definitely did not want an assistant coach who was just exactly like me. It did the same
Yeah.
strengths, good at the same things, good at in game because I can handle all the in game stuff, the making the strats, like all that stuff like that. I wanted someone who was strong at some of the things that I wasn't, and obviously Elevated's known for a little bit off the wall comms. He has a very strong opinion about certain agents that I would say is a more unique view
Mm.
among the community which for me like I'm fully open with like I think it's going to be a fun season trying to incorporate some of these things. It's not necessarily going to be an every match thing, but definitely something that's always going to be in our back pocket throughout the season. We can use some off the wall stuff that he cooks up. And yeah, he's obviously a very organized human who's good at data analyst. That's what I was looking
Yeah.
for overall in my assistant coach.
Okay, sounds good. Now, the last question before we dive into the team, I know some people are probably like chomping at the bit to get into the players, but obviously something that's been a big thing for G over the last couple of years is having some sort of Indian representation within the team. We've seen it with Lightning Fast, SK Rossi. Was that ever suggested to you within this process, or was it just like, okay, you go get your players. We'll work on like having I believe they have an academy team or a second
Mhm.
team as well that's going, and it wasn't really implemented to you at all.
Yeah, no, there was never any requirement to be. That's something that I even discussed in the interview because, like, that's something that I think would possibly limit what I'm able to do at this level. So, like, I wanted to make sure that I was given the best chances to win.
Mm.
We did make sure that multiple. I mean, pretty much all the best Indian players that any Indian community is going to say is were in these trials. They got probably more than a fair chance to make the team. And there were some players close. There were some players very close. Like we were really close to picking up Lightning Fast. He
Okay.
was in the final round of players, like the final 10, I think. He was in the final 10 players. And so there was definitely some players that were close to making it. But I mean, the reality is like, GE's view this season is, we're doing anything and everything we can to win. And that was one of the reasons I also took this job is because I love to win. Winning is fun. Nothing else is fun but
Yeah.
winning. That's just the reality.
That's fair. Okay, let's get into the team. So I kind of just almost to start with, just want to go through each player you signed and your reason behind signing them because I would say there's a few players on this list that I will say like, okay, I've seen them, I've heard of them, I know about them, but even I am somewhat in the dark. So I imagine a lot of people go, okay, who's this guy? So I want to start off with Yokam or Patrick Watson, two very different names. I'm curious about that one, but obviously played in Carti World Filipino team. So I just start things off. What was it with him that you were like, okay, I need this guy?
Okay, so when I'm just scouting players, so people can say stats don't matter, and like they don't, right? Like they do and they don't, but like stats don't lie. Like if some guy's just destroying and he just has some insane stats, he's good, bro. He's good. I can teach him the game. I can teach
Yeah.
him the rest. If you can shoot, I can teach you everything else. So when I saw that, I just said, hey, just get this guy in the trial. Who cares? We have 90 plus players. You could throw this guy an extra trial. You know what I mean? And he demolished in the open trials. He destroyed. He had like 30 every single game. He was just running it down as Neon, just farming people. And for me, like, and even in my CS teams, my entire career, like, I always take like just one raw superstar, just one
Okay.
fragger, just one insane guy, and then you have the other four fill in with more experience and stuff like that because you have room to teach one guy when you have a team full of experienced players. And I know people are going to say the team's not experienced, yada yada, but this team is way more experienced than people will give it credit.
Okay.
Because they have a lot of essential experience, the older age on some of these players, stuff like that.
Mm. Well, I also wanted to touch on because as of right now, the team is not announced. We're recording this a little bit early. Yokem, if I go to his page, he plays for Velocity. So have you maybe yoinked him for from
Yeah,
another
so
team?
it's funny because another Indian organization, right?
Yeah.
But they I didn't know they were even he got picked up by them when I messaged him. I thought he was still on like a tier 3 Filipino team. And
Yeah.
like that what's great about this guy is legit. He's played competitive Valorant for like 6 months. Like he is so raw but so
Mm.
talented. And I'm telling you guys right now, I don't care what kind of expectations I put on him. I don't really care. He'll suck it up. This guy is going to be a top 3 duelist in APAC. I swear to God. I promise you, he will be
Ooh.
a top 3 duelist in APAC. I swear to God. You just watch. You guys watch the season, and then you guys can leave me comments afterwards. Okay,
Extra buzz, like you got a
bro.
Jing or
This is
something. Like I'm
neon
already
meta. This
naming
is neon.
four.
This is neon meta. You just name 2 players that don't play neon.
Okay, okay,
You
okay.
know?
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. It's a bold statement. I'm gonna wait and see. Like I can't call
Yeah.
you wrong because I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Now watch him flop. No, he's gonna do great. He's gonna do great. I promise. Because sometimes
So
there's a strength to being that experience as well. You know what I mean? You don't get pressure because you don't really get the magnitude of what's going on. You know?
that's fair. That's fair. So second on the list is Udotan, obviously initiator, extra atom. I think he'll be a name that's a little bit more familiar because he played. I think it was in Ascension in China, and lost that match. So what was it with him that you went, okay, he's next on the list?
So for me, I wanted Patrick Watson so bad at Duelist,
Mm.
and Udaton towards the end of the trials played so ridiculous. Like we had 2 insane duelists. That's the thing. We had just 2 of the best duelists, like on like I legit insane fucking duelists, and they were both playing great to the point where I was like, dude, I want to get this guy on the team in some way, and we're just gonna make it work. We'll figure it out. We'll make it work, because he's too talented to not give it shot to. And so when the opportunity arose, some things happened. I was like, yo, just give me this guy. I'll put him at Sentinel, and we'll figure it out. And so far in practice, man, this guy has been, bro, he's been frying, and he has no idea what he's doing. You know what I mean? Like he's still learning everything. At Sentinel, he's learning. His lineups take 35 seconds. You know what I mean? Like he's learning everything, but he's so talented that we still have 2 months before the season even
Mm.
starts. We don't have any really show matches to play. We got a couple show matches coming up, but nothing official or super serious. So he has time, next 2 months to learn this role, to improve at this role, and we're gonna have a lot of one-on-ones with me and him, just to get him up to speed. And I think he's gonna be really good too, man. I just think you guys are gonna be really impressed with our team this season. I'll just say that.
I've only got through 2 members. We've still got three more to go. And to be honest, the next one is the one I think I'm most excited about, which is Crystal.
Mhm.
I think anybody who's seen any of Crystal's gameplay knows that this guy is good. I think my question with him, obviously, he was in the team that won Ascension in China. How did you steal him away? Because that was a player where I was like, okay, surely they're going to lock him down, or even maybe another team is going to try and just buy him out as quickly as possible.
Yeah, the thing is with him and that team is he went into that team already with the agreement that if they won Ascension, he would be the one out. They have another Russian player, Redguard,
Yeah.
who's playing with them, and so the idea was it was already confirmed that when Crystal joined this team, if they win Ascension, they're keeping Redguard, and Crystal's going to go out. Obviously, Crystal played amazing, and so he everyone wanted him to stay. I'm sure stuff like that, and I don't really know why EU teams didn't pick him up. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's because of the Russian visa issues or whatever goes on in EMEA. But for us, like I was happy he was available, and
Mm.
he's crazy talented, bro.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Everyone on this team is crazy talented to the point where like I think he's gonna be he's gonna be a clutch god this season for sure. I think you guys will be impressed overall with his play.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's not many people in the world that you look at and have like a 240 ACS over. Like, I'll just put
Yeah,
that as
yeah,
just
yeah.
a pure number. Like, I think the only player I remember like doing that consistently in the past was Durka when he first started playing, and then he switched up to Duelist. So he's the one where I saw him on the list, and I was like, okay, that's a
I
great
mean, to be
signing.
honest, it's Trex. If you want to say play style wise, and like
True.
aim wise, and like skill level wise, I say he's pretty similar to Trex. In that way, is like he's just a hard fragger. So he's legit a hard
Mm,
fragger.
okay. Next on the list is going to be Kelly S, who is ex Oasis Gaming. I think lost in Split 2 and used to be on RRQ. So again, that one's a little, I feel like a little bit more niche, someone who's been around a bit longer, but maybe a bit more experience, like you were mentioning before.
Yeah, I mean, he's a little bit older. He's 24, 25 years old, I think. And yeah, he has a lot of experience at IGLing. And yeah, like I said, he was an RRQ before, which I didn't even know that when we picked him up. I learned that afterwards from Reddit, I think. Someone saying that he used to be RRQ. And so like one of the things I really liked about him, especially before we picked up Udaton, because we're still trying to finalize the roster, figure out who all we were getting. His
Mm.
ability to play Raze to give us a second duelist, if I wanted to play double duelist comp, something like that, was just a nice alternative. And he's our IGL. This guy's our IGL. He's good. He's really really good at it. We have a lot to improve, a lot to work on, but like his initial calls, his initial thought process, he comes in, he works hard, he brings stuff to practice every single day. He's got new strats every single day. And so I think yeah, I think I'm happy with the choice there too, for sure.
And then last, obviously, but not least, is Papi Chula, who may be changing his name to Pappy, as you told me. Controller X now lost in a Pacific Ascension again. So it definitely seems like there's a similar route. He's one again, an older player, someone a bit more experienced. So again, what was the reasoning behind picking him up?
Yeah, honestly, he was probably the toughest player to get for us. We had to spend a bag. Don't get it twisted. We spent a bag on him to get him out of Mouse. They did not want to let go of him one bit because I think he was, the heart of that team. Older player, dad figure,
Mm.
and I definitely wanted someone a little bit more experienced. And then his performance in Ascension was like really good. Like if you go back and look at that Ascension, like he had so many big rounds for them, so many big clutches and stuff like that. That I definitely think he was a big for me he was one of the most important players to get. I think, especially because I feel like that role in general, especially with the scary not really being available and stuff like that, the smoke role in APAC was a little thin.
Yeah, I think you can even look at T1 and picking players out of who are going over in China. I think there's like a couple, like again, you look at a Marco or Caron, obviously, but all of
Yeah, those
those are
guys are
in
insane.
contracts you
Yeah,
never
yeah,
never get
we're
at the
not getting
mark.
those
So
guys.
it's always going to be a little more difficult. Was that the plan? Like, did you look at, say, because for my mind, I'm looking at this team like I did Heretics last year, where it's like I put Heretics super low because pretty much every single player from that team is from the tier 2. Anybody who wasn't was Boo, who obviously the year before with Heretics had a horrible year. So is that the way you've kind of done this, where it's like I could go and pick players in tier 1 who maybe have more experience, but I'm going to find more talent within those up and coming players?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there was definitely plenty of tier one players we had opportunities to get. But the reality is like I'm taking the best player, man.
Yeah.
Skill trumps all. That's the reality. Skill trumps all. You can talk about experience all you want. But for me, I really feel like experience is overrated. Um, I think that there are moments where experience comes in to help. Like, bro, if we're playing at champs and we're in a 12, 11 round, okay, then you can talk to me about experience.
Yeah.
But like week to week in APAC, bro, this is just a day. This is an everyday job. These guys are gonna be doing this every single day. It's stuff that they're gonna gain quick. It's not something that's gonna be a struggle throughout the season, I don't think.
Yeah. So you kind of touched on this already because one of my questions was going to involve the leadership because, as you said, Kelly S was an IGL. I believe Crystal was also an IGL. Pappy is someone who I think has a mass amount of experience. So what was it with Kelly in particular that you went, okay, this is our leader?
Yeah, I mean, I just have a certain view of what I want from an IGL and how I like to build my system. I'm definitely like a heavy defaulter. Stuff like that. Basically, it's someone who can help micromanage is very
Mm.
important to me, especially because there is something to experience. I keep saying there's nothing to experience, but there is something. And so when you have an IGL, so like one thing, if you watch Heretics, I don't know this for sure, but I'm 99% certain, especially in big situations, Boo is micromanaging everything. Absolutely everything. He's calling timings. He's calling where to throw this, where to throw that,
Mm.
where to go, hold here, wait here. Like I said, I don't know the inner workings of this team, but just watching them play, it really feels like he hardcore micromanages. And I feel like in this game, especially because the timings are so small, the windows are so small, and just the overall game plan, I feel like having someone who at least has the ability to micro. I don't need you to micro 24/7, but the
Yeah.
ability to micro where in intense situations, 2v2s, 3v3s, I think is just very, very important to have, and that's something that he was really good at.
Okay. I also want to add something as well. Is like you mentioned players you initially went for. I don't know if you could name them, but is there anybody that you were like, okay, I kind of wanted this guy, but he's ended up somewhere else, or maybe he didn't quite live up to what I wanted for this team, but I still think he deserves like maybe a shout out or something like this guy is special.
I mean, okay, so I definitely so I used to coach this player, and so when I took this job, this player was the first player in my mind for picking up this team because for me he was the prototypical duelist as Vera. That guy does he's not afraid to take space. That guy will
Mm.
go in anywhere, will fly the fuck in and frag out. And that's something that I was really excited to have in a team. The reality is just like the couple of the duelists that we trialed, Udatan and Patrick Watson in particular, just they just have so much talent and their ceiling is through the roof. I genuinely think both of those players could be like genuine superstars in APAC next season.
Hope they got good contracts.
Guys, they're tier two. That's who knows. I don't know.
Well, that's another thing because you mentioned you're almost hitting my questions perfectly. So a lot of teams in the past, or even a lot of people, will go, okay, this I used to play with this guy. So I wanted to know, was there any chance that G Heat had a American import? Was there anyone from America that you went, oh, I could get him?
So for me, I even told this to GE when we came in is I don't want to import just to import. I only
Fair.
want to import if it's some talent that we can't get anywhere else. And really, like I thought the APAC talent in general was really, really, really strong. Um, and one of the roles that we did have a little bit of a lower, availability of players is the Sova slash initiator role. There's just not that many available. Like the main one that we were looking at before the trials even started was a Kush.
Mm.
Obviously he fragged out for RRQ in their first match and had like 30 plus. And so like, once he was gone, for me it sort of felt like that's the weak spot of the region. And so let's see what else we can find outside of that. And that's why we went with Crystal. And there really was no chance of an NA player being picked up. Because I feel like the majority of the really, really, really good NA talent is already in tier one. And a lot
Yeah.
of the tier one, tier two players, while they may be good, I don't think they're better than the APAC tier two players. Honestly, I think they're around the same level, and stuff like that. That we didn't need to import just for that.
Fair enough. Now it's something. This is just a rumor. I wanted to see if it was a similar case in Pacific. Is that teams that have struggled in the first couple of years of franchising, some of them might be finding it harder to get players involved with their team. Was that ever the case, or because it seems like so far you've said basically every person I wanted we got.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be realistic. The only player that we didn't get that we really wanted, which at first I was really disappointed about, but now that we've practiced, I'm not worried even a little bit, was Grumble.
Okay.
We obviously weren't able to get Grumble for I don't want to divulge his reasons, was personal reasons we weren't able to get Grumble. And so like I was definitely disappointed at that at first, but like now after seeing the roster, seeing us play for a couple days, like if anything, I'm maybe happier and more excited because I genuinely think Utatan's ceiling is through the roof, honestly.
Yeah, I know that this question almost feels pointless because of the way you've been speaking about the team, but does it worry you at all the lack of tier one experience? Because a lot of, like, as said, every single member of this team has either played through Ascension or been eliminated before they got there. So is that something that you think, oh, what if they get to this stage and they just don't play how they are in Prax?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's always a possibility, and I'll be honest with you, that's something that GE, management themselves are worried about. I guess that's something that they've had
Mm.
issues with the past. I guess for me, like I feel like I'm able to instill enough confidence in the team, and we play such a simple, like we play a simple style. I'm not going to be crazy. We're not going to be doing some insane, ridiculous stuff. We play a simple style, consistent style, and it allows people to be comfortable in these situations to where you're doing the same thing you did in practice for the last 3 months. You're doing the same. It's the same game. It ain't changed. We're doing the same strats. We practice how we play in matches. I don't let us goof around. We're not being silly. Like we take practice like we're playing matches.
Yeah.
The whole testing limits and all do that in ranked, bro. Do that in ranked. Come to scrims ready to learn, ready to improve, and ready to take everything like it's super serious.
Okay. So I now want to talk almost from like the fan perspective. So the first 2 years for GE have been fairly rough. You're talking eighth place in the first year out of 10, and then ninth out of 11. So basically the same place. how are you going to change the trajectory of this team? Because I think that it's more than necessarily just the players that are coming in, but maybe even a culture thing that needs to switch up to make it so that there's no chance that you're like bottom 3, bottom 4, however, like even at least middle of the pack.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the good things about a complete rebuild that they pretty much did is that like there is no old players, there is no old staff. Like everyone here is brand new. Like I have a ton of success. I'm not worried about
Mm,
having success because I've had so much success. A lot of these players, like I said, even though they're tier two, they've had a lot of success tier two. Crystal has played in 2 straight Ascension finals. Won one of them, lost one in
yeah.
APAC, one in China. Udatan was just in the finals as well, and with RA playing with Freeland, right? He was just playing in the CN finals. Like you said, Kelly S has experience with RRQ playing at tier one level then, and he's been playing it. And even though it's not, he played Predator Land. They won a Predator Land with Oasis. He's had lands and events he won.
Yeah.
And Papi Chulo has been playing lands. He's 28 years old. He's been playing lands since CS, man. He's a CS player that has literally land events in CS. So like, I'm not too worried about all that kind of stuff.
Okay. I want to sort of then set like your realistic expectations, like going into maybe not necessarily kickoff because obviously the format for that's always rough to say like, oh, we'll finish here or here because you could get eliminated in a kind of weird way. But say
Yeah.
stage 1, where do you expect this team to land? Are we talking like Masters events, or are you thinking like, okay, I think we'll at least be like middle of the pack, or we'll be upper middle?
The ceiling is Masters events. That's definitely the ceiling. I don't
Okay.
know if that's gonna be something we do because it's tough, man, bro. Genji is really good.
Yeah.
DRX looks good. Talon made champ level. You can say whatever you want. Talon's made champs. They're a good team.
Yeah.
We played them with Leviathan. Like there was a realistic possibility we lost that match. We didn't, but it would have not been like I would have not been surprised if we lost that match to Talon. And so I think there's really good teams in APAC, but I think our ceiling is qualifying for Masters events. But my realistic goal that I think is 100% doable is making champs. I think top four in APAC is realistic,
Okay.
100% a goal that not only we do have, like we should have. I feel like this roster should have that.
Okay. Now you've hyped up this team quite a lot.
Yeah, yeah, bro. Yeah, what
I'm
can I
gonna
say?
make you pick one player because I know I've already talked about Crystal. You said Yokam, Udatan. Like this team has depth in terms of talent. If there is a player that the fans should be looking to be really excited for, who are you picking out?
If they don't nerf Neon, and maybe even if they do nerf Neon, it's probably Patrick Watson, which he's not going to be able to use that name, I guess, in VCT because Patrick Watson's too long, which I'm so sad about because the entire time I told him you have to play as Patrick Watson because I think
You
it's
call him
got so
Pat.
much ore. Yeah, but the same thing is, it's not as good. It's not as good. I think he's looking at Pat Watson was another one. He's like, oh, this isn't as cool. And so like for me, I think like I mean obviously duelists are fun to watch.
Yeah.
He's gonna frag out, and for me, I always put my duelist in a position to play. Like you, for me, my duelist gets no rules. You get to do whatever you want every
Okay.
single round, literally every single round. Because I don't ever want them to play scared. I don't ever want them to worry about making a mistake. Make what I tell my players constantly is ask for forgiveness, not permission. You
We
know what I
hear
mean?
that all the
Like
time in
yes,
broadcasting. All the
yes,
time.
bro. I'm telling you, that's what I tell them all the time. It's like ask for forgiveness, do your thing, and afterwards I'll tell you whether you're fucked up or not. But in the moment, just play how you're gonna play.
Okay, I like it. I like it. What is something fans can expect from you as a head coach? Because I think that's something that is a little bit more interesting. Is like, obviously, we know your experience. We've spoken about the teams you've been on, the teams you play for as well. But what can they expect from you that you're bringing? Maybe even comparison to the people before, or just in terms of coaches in general.
Yeah, man, I'm a really open person. I get messages all the time, and I honestly try to answer almost every single one. I go through Twitter when we post these posts and everyone's just commenting. I like every single comment, like
Mm,
literally every single one through like all the social media. I try to interact with the fans because for me, bro, I've been doing this so long that it's so cool how big it's gotten. Like the fact that I even have fans. Like, I can remember back in COD 4, my very first fan that I ever really had was from Russia. Like some random guy on Xfire. You may not remember this program. It's Steam
no.
before Steam, basically, or Steam back when Steam before got huge. It's a program called Xfire, which is you just a chat. And some guy from Russia added me and said, "Oh my God, I love watching you from Russia." And the fact that it's gotten so big that we have fans all over the world is
Mm.
so cool. The fact that someone asked for signatures for us, for our players, for our coaches, like that blows my mind, and it's something that I absolutely love. And I'm a fan of esports first and foremost. I've been a fan of esports since I was a kid. I keep up with every esport, even if I don't play it. I'm always keep the up eye on what's happening in the league, what's happening in Dota, who won. I may not watch every game like I do Valorant, but I at least keep an eye on what's happening because I'm a
Yeah.
fan of esports as a whole.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I've got like one or two more questions. One is a little bit different because I don't know if this was something said to you in general, but obviously you said your goals. You're looking at like at least getting to champs. It's
Yeah.
a big
No,
goal
yeah.
for
I
GE
don't
fans. It's
mind
a
saying
big
that
goal.
100%. If for me, if this season, if we don't make champs, it's a failure.
Okay. And
Like for me.
what about the org? Like, because that's I feel like that's always a difference. Like I said, I've always loved like how vocal a lot of the GE owners are, how interactive they are. What did they say to you when you sort of joined this team? Like, what did they expect?
That this season is all about winning, and that's the most important thing. That they're willing to spend to win. That they're willing to do whatever it takes to win this season. And that's why they, quote unquote, went all in. Getting, like I said, we dropped the bag just on Papi Chulo.
Okay.
And we looked at a lot of opportunities, man. Like you guys saw the stuff with Gen G and all that kind of stuff, and players going available. We had conversations with all those guys. We had realistic conversations with all those guys. We were close to even signing some of those guys. And so that's definitely something that I think that you guys will be happy with, and I think that GE as a whole, like the community as a whole, I think will be happy with.
Okay. Well, penultimate question. Is there I don't know if you could say if you're attending any events if they haven't been announced, but are we going to see this roster before they take the stage at kickoff?
So I think this has been announced. If not, it should be announced by the time this comes out. We should be doing a show match.
Okay.
So we're going to be doing 6 teams versus GE. It's going to be two
Nice.
VCT APAC teams, two VCT CN teams, and then two Ascension teams. So we're
Okay,
going to
that's
be
cool.
doing a BO5 every day for 6 days straight.
Oh, damn.
Yes. So it's gonna be essentially like replicating, I guess, like I don't know, the hardest tournament I've ever played. And so that's gonna be fun. That'll be interesting. That'll give you guys a first look. What I will say is we are very, very fresh into practicing. We don't even
Mm,
have all the players to the boot camp yet. Um, so don't have insane high expectations for this. But based off practice, it's gone pretty well. That I don't. We're not gonna go in and get shit on. We're gonna have a real fighting chance to beat some of these teams that you guys think are good. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying that if you think they're good and we play well, then obviously we're pretty good too, right? And so
that's
I'm
fair.
definitely excited to be showing that.
Fair enough. Well, final question, and you can probably imagine where it's going. What do you want to say to the fans? Because obviously, I think G fans, some of the best in terms of their support for their team. You are the new sort of head of the ship. You brought in all the players. You kind of put a lot of the pressure on yourself. I'll be honest with you. You've gone, I picked all the players. We're making it to
Yeah,
champs.
yeah.
What have you got to say to the fans to just go, okay, this is all you need to know going into 2025?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna start with saying thank you for the fans. Like the reception has been amazing. There's for some reason, this stigma that the Indian community is toxic. And let me tell you, bro, I have not received a single negative comment, a single negative message. Like I'll show you my DM. My DM is just full of people saying, "Oh my God, welcome to the Indian community. Welcome to the Indian community. Like we're so happy to have you here. We love you." Like everyone calls me coach already. I'm not juvenile. I'm coach. I'm coach to everybody. So like it's a family feel. It's a family thing. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to come here. And then for our season, man, just if you guys do want to show hate, show all the hate to me, bro. Leave the kids alone. They're young kids. They're just playing for fun. They don't need the hate. But I think we're gonna give you guys plenty of reasons to love us, not hate us. So I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see the team play. I'm gonna have to watch all of those best of fives, but honestly, it's late at night for you. Thank you very much for taking the time to do the interview, and best of luck. I'm really excited.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now you made me a little nervous about how much I talk. No, but I'm fully behind in my words, bro. I really think champs is something that we should be doing, and I think there's an outside chance for Masters. I definitely think it would take us playing really well and us having a great run, but I think it wouldn't be unheard of. Like I wouldn't be like, oh my God, this is never supposed to happen.
Oh, either way, thank you very much for joining, and well, I'll see you guys all in the next video. See you then. Goodbye.
Adios, guys.